especially while his show was in the height of its fame. But because early on in the movie, I think one of the things that the movie was the question the movie was trying to ask was how do you discipline a kid who is having as much trouble with being a kid as a Sean? How do you handle that situation? And it was very clear to me that the adults in his life were handling it so poorly. And it was a sense of relief when Amir Khan's character came in, because it's just like, okay, I finally see the roadmap we're laying out here. Fred Rogers' whole thing he pushed, I'd say his biggest piece of child psychology he pushed is every child is important. No matter what they do, no matter their background, them being themselves, that makes them important. And it was interesting because when Amir Khan's character came in and he started pursuing Ashan and trying to kind of understand Ashan, and he went back and visited his parents, and then it had the scene of him with the special needs kids. I think to me the biggest theme of the movie is Ashan, the reason he was acting out, one, because he has dyslexia, right? And he was just being educated poorly. But I think also no authority figure in his life made him feel important. Mm-hmm. They all made him feel less than. Like even when I thought it was an interesting thing, and I think it was very consciously written, when they were giving the tour of the boarding school, they made a comparison that the kids are like wild horses, like animals. And so again, now you're degrading Ashan so much that you're just like an animal, you know? And so that makes me feel not important. All he needed to make a shift in the right direction was some figure of authority to just say like, hey, like what you're going through, your experience and the things that you want and how you view the world, it's important. It's not like everybody else. It's different, but it is equally as important. Mm-hmm. To me, that was the controlling theme of the story. Is that something you guys picked up on?
Yeah, for sure. I think something that actually drives your point home is whenever what is Amir Khan's character's name? Like Ram?
Yes.
Whenever he first confronts Ashan and saying, like, you know, he's going through all these big historical figures that had disabilities or like weren't normal, and then whenever Ashan is starting to walk out of class, Ram kind of confronts him and saying, yeah, and I know somebody else who has a lot of problems but is really good at art. And then Ashan's like, oh my God, he's talking about me. Mm-hmm. And then he's like, no, I'm talking about myself. And that was so important for Ashan to hear that there are figures in his life that are going through the same thing that he is going through, because he has felt so alone this entire movie. Yeah. And by the time we get there, I was so relieved that Ashan could finally get on a path to understanding himself.
And feel like he was connected, because I was going to touch on that same thing, feeling that he's connected to other people, because the teacher does hone in that, like, hey, even though your experience is different, it's important, but then it's also so important for Ashan to know that, like, and you're not the only one who is feeling this way, like you're not the only person feeling isolated, like many like other people, just like, you know, with his teacher, it's like just like me, have been through the same thing, and you can still grow and learn and like have your place in society, even if you feel like you're not even though you feel like you're not experiencing it in the same way that others experience it on average.
It's interesting because I thought this early on, and I didn't know why, but it made sense as we wrapped up the movie. I would classify this as a coming of age story, because I think what makes a good coming of age story is you take a character and you make them feel separate from everybody else and come to a resolution about why they feel separate about themselves. And so that whole first act, he was the one that everybody was he felt separated from his family. His school made him feel like he wasn't, he couldn't be a student. And through the little journey we follow him through, he gains acceptance. And to me, that's the pieces of a successful coming of age story.
Yeah, I like that. It has a lot to do with coming of age, but instead of literally coming of age, it's literally just finding yourself.
Yes. Yeah. No, I agree.
What did you think of I'd say my only scene in the entire movie that maybe took me out of it a little bit, even though it was beautiful, is when he saw the picture that the teacher had painted of him.
I agree with you.
It was beautiful, but then we just kept zooming in on his tears just getting bigger and bigger, and it was just like, wow, this is...
I'm glad you said that because I would have forgotten, and I want to hear Braden's take. But I expected that payoff to be a little bit better sound.
More? Yeah, just a little more.
But just I expected a little bit of a meteor payoff, and just my art is you.
Yeah. So too.
That's a funny metaphor because I guarantee you that's exactly what they have.
Yes, that's what he meant. Yeah,
you are my art project. No,
I think it risks coming off as kind of tone deaf.
Yeah.
But I think that upon a first viewing, it worked for me.
Yeah. It was effective
only because I don't know. It kind of intertwines Ishan and Ram's stories because I don't know. It just drives home the connection between them. I want to say.
No, it was
even if it is in a kind of cringy way.
Yeah, well, when I saw the painting, I didn't think that was
really?
That didn't take me out of it. When I saw the painting, I was like, oh wow, that's beautiful. For me, it was the 3 or 4.
Really?
We cut back to the teacher, we cut back to Ishan. Now he's crying more. We cut back to the teacher. Ishan has snot bubbling from his nose now. His crying got more aggressive. That's when I was like, they really want me to know that this is a beautiful moment, and I know. I'm aware.
To me, it was bare minimum. Writing wise, what it was just what is the painting gonna be? It was just when I saw it, I was just yeah, that works. Yeah. But it was we couldn't have gotten some more imagery or a metaphor.
Sean's painting though, I thought was perfect and beautiful.
I think that
him being disappearing the whole morning and then come back and he drew his time that morning. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
But
dude, their chemistry, we kind of didn't mention it in performance. I think their chemistry was really, really good, especially by the end. Yeah. Those final scenes, the way they played off of each other, I think they nailed it. I think him and that kid, and I'm sure they worked so closely together because he was directing that it wasn't hard for there to be chemistry there. But I think
it was very natural feeling. It was not forced at all.
Agreed. Writing wise, I mean, we're getting this is going to be one of our beefier episodes, which I totally expected. But writing wise, did we miss anything on you guys?
I think we dove into everything that I had thoughts on.
Yeah, no, I think
I'm looking at John's notes, and at the bottom it just says in all caps, "What a beautiful movie."
Loved it.
It is a very, very pretty looking movie too.
I agree, and like I said, it makes me want to watch some more Bollywood stuff just because I really like, I think we all are aware of this. You can highly saturate something to the point where it looks gross, but I like, bright popping colors. And I think this movie is a good example of how to do that right, where it never feels, it doesn't feel fake. The colors don't feel... It
doesn't feel like they pushed in the teal and orange in the saturation and called it a day.
Exactly. But no, I think it was really pretty.
Yeah.
Writing wise, we covered everything.
Yeah, I think we covered everything.
All right. I realize this is kind of, this is your first time on the show, so
you got to sing a song to close us out.
No,
whatever.
No. We ranked the movies. We put them in the list that we watched So I guess, this would be number one for you. Hopefully that list gets longer as time goes back. Hopefully we can get you back on the show sooner or later.
Yeah, for sure.
Where would you put this one in terms of
I'd probably put it. I'd probably say it because I think I had Duck Soup as my number 2. Belleville is still my.
Duck Soup's number 2?
I think so.
Did I not say? What did I say? I
loved it. I
love that
take. Because I'm trying to think. I would say probably. I'd probably say this knocked Duck Soup out of number 2 though. So I'd probably say Belleville, Duck Soup, Gambler.
Yeah, you know what
Gone Girl, several spaces.
I know what I would. I would put this one right smack in the middle of Belleville as Belleville's yet to be dethroned as my favorite. You got to check it out.
It's only like an hour and 15 minutes.
So
you really
good.
should watch it. It is fantastic.
But I'd put this in between Belleville and Nashville. I think Nashville.
Nashville was my second one.
Have you checked out Robert Altman's Nashville?
No,
you dude.
It's great.
It's like this weird it's like a commentary.
It's a country music epic.
So that's the base level, but then the depth of it's like commentary on the country music industry. It's kind of a satire on the country music industry,
like the similarities with politics within the music industry.
Exactly, but then it just fully becomes like a commentary on 1970s politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's
awesome!
So
yeah,
cool.
It's great.
Robert Altman's a legend.
I hadn't thought about this. I don't know if this movie tops Nashville for me.
Really?
So I think it'd be Belleville, Nashville.
No, this one connected on a personal level with me above Nashville.
Well, since I've only seen you guys' first episode, my ranking is Gone Girl and then this.
Yeah.
Gone Girl on top?
Yeah.
Oh,
Nice.
snap.
Nice.
We got a Fincher boy in the house, eh?
I wouldn't even call myself a Fincher boy. I just like Gone Girl more than I liked this movie. And I did like this movie a lot.
Rosamund Pike. I mean, we
Incredible.
talked about it in depth on the show, but one of the greatest.
Yeah, I heard the Dufek story too.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure you heard it in person. I'm sure.
Oh yeah, several times.
I'm glad you said that. I isolated that before we released it and sent it to Dufek. I'm gonna isolate that, just like, oh yeah, several times, and send that to Dufek.
Yeah, you always if you're a CMO TV film student, you have to hear the Dufek story at least 9 times. Before you graduate.
That's how you can tell if your TV film buddy is if it's an impersonator, if it's an imposter. You're just like, yeah,
what's an imposter among
what's
us?
That story Dufek
Recite the
always told?
Dufek Gone Girl story now,
Word for word,
like an initiation.
Well, listen, Braden, thank you so much for being on the show, man. It's really
sure.
Yeah,
been a
we
pleasure.
enjoyed having you.
Hopefully, you come back. soon.
Anytime.
Obviously,
I would be happy to come back anytime.
We'll get you on.
If we have any more movies with the word "star" in the title, man,
Dude,
you get
Or Wars.
Dude, everybody who's listening to this right now, please go listen to Through Imperial Eyes. It is, I mean, listen, I've listened to.
Yeah, I'm begging you, please go listen to my podcast.
I've listened to a handful of Star Wars podcasts in my years of being a Star Wars boy, and I'll just say it, it's my fave.
It's probably because it covers such a wide array of topics. It's not just like we're going to talk about Princess Leia and why she should know how to use the
We're going to
Force.
talk about why Disney ruined
Yes,
Star
yes,
Wars.
or just negative, just a bunch of bashing. Yeah, I'm pumped.
Dude,
You're
that's
doing
one
that
thing
too. I'm
I
excited to
do
listen to
appreciate
them.
at you guys, because one thing we are all aware of, because John, we're big, we like Star Wars. If you're a Star Wars fan, for some reason, if you love Star Wars, you must also hate Star Wars, apparently.
Oh, yes.
So
This is the way.
Yeah, I think that whole mindset is very toxic.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of man babies out there who like blame Kathleen Kennedy and feminism on the downfall of Star Wars,
yeah.
and I think that's total
Those are
BS.
also
And
almost definitely the same people who are freaking out about the prequels. That now that this has gone out, it's just like, well, I loved Star Wars through the prequels,
yeah,
and
or
then
they're
now
also
I hate
freaking out that Gina Carano got fired.
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
But that's a
Yes,
podcast
yes.
for another
which
day.
is covered this week on Through Imperial Eyes, I'm sure, in depth.
Last week.
Oh, yeah.
It was already covered. Yeah, we had a special
gonna say,
episode
you guys
where we
did a
went in depth.
special.
Oh,
didn't
nice.
you?
How many episodes do you guys
Yeah, we
have out
did.
now?
I want to say somewhere around 7.
Nice. Dude,
We've done a couple special episodes. We did like a special Star Wars Podcast Day episode. We've covered a couple other things, but we're also about to go in depth on each Star Wars. Like we're going to do an episode reviewing and like discussing each different Star Wars movie. We're going to bring guests on and stuff, so that'll be
that's
fun.
so sick.
Yeah.
Hey, listen to that. Listen, thanks to the Arrow Podcast Network for having us on Network.
Yeah, thanks for the McDonald's ads.
As always, hey, let's check us out on Spotify.